Thanks, Rob. Well, yesterday we had our next guests on to discuss the meaning of the 4th of July. However, beyond the pomp and circumstance of the holiday is a military struggling to grow in numbers. For more on that, let's welcome back retired Air Force Brigadier General and Newsmax contributor Blaine Holt and former Navy SEAL Mike Sarraille. So July of this year marked 50 years since the end of the war draft, which means now our U.S. military is entirely volunteer. But Mike, recently recruiting young men and women to join has been really hard. For just one example, the Army missed their goal last year by 25%. Why is that?
I think this is a societal problem. And this isn't a one-prong problem. This is a multi-prong problem. So one, we do want volunteers. We want people that are passionate, that want to be there. We do not want to go back to a drafty force. Our national leaders start acting like the leaders of character and with professionalism that encourage young people to serve their country. But ultimately, we also have to solve the retention problem. Only 19% of military service members actually make it to retirement. With the help of Congress, we can change and incentivize people going into the military.
Really? Because I feel like the incentives are so high to make it to retirement in the military. That's really surprising for me. I haven't heard anyone mention retention before, so thank you for bringing that up. General Holt, to go back to the Army, down 7% total in just 2 years. That's just one branch that we're looking at. I mean, this is a time when we're in a new Cold War with Russia. Tensions with China are extremely high. This is really bad.
Yeah, this is, there's a great parallel here, Christina. It's pre-World War II. We were at the weakest that we had ever been. We were inviting trouble all over the world. And a guy named General George Marshall so selflessly fired 150 peacetime, politically driven generals and brought warriors like Patton and Bradley to the forefront. He couldn't stand those people, but he knew that the Japanese and Germans probably wouldn't like him either. The point is, these political shenanigans we're seeing inside the Pentagon right now with DEI and woke and getting rid of the meritocracy, those are not consistent with a strong military that can take on America's foes. And honestly, if they can correct that and give up this political bent that they're on, they'll find that people will stay and serve. They'll find that people will pursue the meritocracy, and they'll find that our best and brightest really do rise to the highest positions of leadership, combat leadership in our military.
I think they're starting to figure that out a little bit, because you're right. We were seeing a lot of woke campaign ads. Recruitment was dropping very dramatically. Mike, then we started to see the military return to more traditional campaigns. We even thought Top Gun might bolster a whole lot of support for getting people to enlist. And it did a little bit. The Air Force did say that they gained a whole lot of people wanting to join, but they also announced that they too will once again miss their recruiting mark. How do you think that the military as a whole can better appeal to young people?
Well, first off, I walked out of Top Gun high-fiving the people around me that I didn't even know. Great film. So, 70% of young Americans aren't even eligible for military service due to health concerns, obesity. So, again, society has to prepare our young men and women to be able and be eligible to serve. But the military, we produce per capita more leaders than any other institution. We need to go to something I call outcome-based recruiting, where we tell the stories of Blaine Holt, where he started as a 119-pound high school graduate and ending up as a flag officer in the Air Force, and where he's ended up. The amazing men and women and what the military did for them, encourage people to join. I joined because of somebody named Staff Sergeant Ben Post. He was a Force Recon Marine. I wanted to be just like that guy. That's what led me to the military.
Very cool. General Holt, I want to ask you, I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but just the pattern of going woke, it can't be the only reason that recruitment is so low.
Yeah, there's some others. So let's look at what's happened recently. We were on a 20-year war in Afghanistan alone, notwithstanding all the other operations and involvements. And if anybody thinks that the disaster that was Kabul and how pathetic our leadership acted at the national security team level, no, that had a deleterious effect. It was damaging to veterans who had served, given up limbs in some cases, given up lives in others. And then so you see that as part of the leadership. Then you get to the vax policy. The vax policy was reckless on an unproven experimental vaccine. and they wouldn't, and they were throwing people out of the military who had Bronze Stars and Silver Stars with valor, as if they didn't matter anymore. These things damage our resolve. We break faith with our forces. Again, these are so fixable, and we can fix them, and I don't think that the military really has the luxury of not fixing them anymore.
We can, and it starts with great men who have served our country, like both of you, speaking to the public as you're doing now. So thank you for coming on today. And thank you, General Blaine Holt, Mike Sarraille, for your service. It's always great to see you too.
Great to be with you.
And up next,